Complete History of Adam Warlock, Earth 616, Part 2. Division among the ranks of the Watch emerged when Moondragon was nearly killed in battle against Domitian. With Moondragon in a coma, and Drax not leaving her side, the Watch's active members consisted only of Warlock, Pip, Gamera, and Maxim. Tensions escalated once more when Maxim made an off-the-cuff joke about Gamera's obvious puppy love for Warlock, which caused Gamera to get very angry. The two fought, and in the end, Gamera left the Watch due to Warlock's wholehearted trust in Maxim. Warlock then gave the time gem to Maxim. The next day, Maxim would attack Warlock, but Warlock managed to defeat him, with the aid of the still telepathically active Moondragon. Warlock concluded that due to Maxim coming from a different time period, the time gem most likely triggered the memories of his past, the future, to return to him. Almost immediately, a threat arrived from a different universe who managed to steal all of the gems from their guardians. The Infinity Watch then fell apart, having no gems to protect. Afterwards, Warlock promptly left to search for the Infinity Gems. During his long search, Warlock was pulled into a gateway between our universe and the neighboring Ultraverse. He awoke, projected into the distant past, to discover a gathering of worshippers hailing him as their messiah. In the weeks that followed, he discovered that he was upon a vast construct called the Godwheel, and in the presence of warrior priests of the Dilabi race who needed a savior to help them defeat a vampiric dark god called Rune. Soon, the hordes of Rune attacked, killing scores of the warrior priests, and turning the battle into a massacre. Rune and Warlock met on the field of battle and fought long into the night. Finally, Warlock fatigued, and Rune plunged his blade through Warlock's chest, wounding him mortally. As Warlock lay dying, Rune attempted to drain his soul, but failed due to Warlock's supreme astral control. Rune howled his frustration into the night, as Warlock died, and was promptly surrounded by his regenerative cocoon. Sometime in the intervening centuries, Warlock's essence and genetic material were used to create a form of cosmic energy known as Shuji. In roughly the 1960s or 70s of the Ultraverse, a ship capable of harnessing Shuji energy was uncovered on Earth by General Holden Raider. An entire secret government agency known as Aladdin grew up around Raider and this ship, as he attempted to harness its power for America. Working with the alien-derived AI called Genie, Raider and Aladdin reasoned Shuji energies were best wielded in pairs, and so they genetically extrapolated twin boys named Eric Johnston and Noel Robinson, raising them in seclusion from each other until they were old enough to wield the Shuji power for Aladdin. Unfortunately for Aladdin, Rune had also made his way from the Godwheel to Earth and interrupted their plans. Eric and Noel ended up fused into a single entity named Gemini, wielding the power of both Adam Warlock and Rune, and under the control of no one. Adam's cocoon was eventually located adrift through space by Aladdin, and brought to Ultra-Earth. Although Adam was dead inside his cocoon, the reality-altering wave caused by Black September revived him with newfound abilities, and uncertain of his place in the Ultraverse, Adam Warlock left Aladdin to seek his destiny as a spiritual counselor of sorts. Adam soon became aware of Gemini, who had evolved into a kind of binary being, with Noel acting as a gold-skinned cosmic force by day and Eric becoming a duplicate of Rune by night. Meeting the composite boys restored Adam's memories of the Godwheel, and he used his newfound spiritual abilities to exorcise Eric's corrupted spirit from Noel's body. Making peace with Noel, Adam returned to space and located the wormhole nexus necessary for him to return to Earth 616. Eventually he found the soul gem once more, but its effects on his personality became unpredictable, possibly because of their long separation. A short time later, Drax the Destroyer was accused of the murder of Elysius and several other individuals. Warlock, along with Gamera, Pip, and Guinness, tracked Drax down and subdued him in time to find that the real culprit was the reanimated corpse of the original Captain Marvel. Using his soul gem, Warlock traced the being controlling the corpse, a creature within the negative zone known as Siphon who was using the negabands as a conduit. Felled by a backlash of psychic energy, Warlock was unable to stop the transfer of the negabands to the unconscious Drax, who flew off into space. Warlock then gathered his allies and pursued Drax, finding that Siphon was using Drax and the bands to rip a portal into the negative zone, a portal which threatened the structure of our universe. Summoning all of his strength, Warlock yanked Drax free and removed the negabands, causing the portal to shrink. But, before the portal could completely close, Siphon yanked Warlock into the negative zone, and in front of the audience of Blastar and Annihilus, Siphon took Warlock's gem, and used it to reopen the portal. Warlock recovered, and fought back, but without his soul gem he had little chance of subduing both Blastar and Annihilus before Siphon was successful. Fortunately, Drax arrived with Pip, Gamera, and Guinness, who was once more possessor of the negabands, in tow. As his friends fought on, Warlock went on to damage Siphon's Conqueror Wheel, thus reclosing the portal. Siphon attempted to use the soul gem to kill Warlock, but found his attack turned upon his own soul. He fought back long enough to flee his own body. Warlock again claimed the soul gem, feeling that it was his burden and his alone. That done, Warlock and his companions left the negative zone and returned to their universe where they evidently again parted ways. Some time later, Warlock's cosmic senses led him to believe that something was seriously amiss with the universe that was causing reality to collapse, and this belief compelled him to visit eternity and infinity in order to fully discern what was happening. Once there, he found them unable to answer his questions in a satisfactory manner, and he instead managed to convince them to open a portal beyond time and space, through which he traveled in search of answers. He found them in the form of Atlas, a being who was charged with the awesome responsibility of anchoring his reality. Atlas went on to tell Warlock that his time was coming to an end, and that his successor, a young child named Adalzalangun, would have to be summoned to take his place. Warlock accepted this all-important mission, but was instead driven insane by the transfer of the information that Adalza would need to assume her duties. Lost to madness, Warlock drifted back to his actuality and finished up at the Corporation for Mental Stability on the planet Diga-Iter. His mind shattered, Warlock retreated into a protective cocoon, where he would remain for 2 more years. With Warlock in need of time to recover, Atlas activated a backup plan that would take 2 years to unfold. First, he planted a single phrase inside the minds of Thanos' dormant Thanosi clones that read "Adam Warlock is the key to oblivion." Then he directed a meteorite strike on Thanos' stronghold, designed to awaken the clone called Armor. Unfortunately, this move activated 4 more members of the Thanosi, and the plan began to derail. Nonetheless, the implanted message proved convincing, and the clone called X assumed the guise of the true Thanos, sending Pip the Troll to collect Warlock's cocoon. X then summoned Moondragon, who managed to awaken the dormant Warlock, who quickly found that he was unable to remember the events that led to his insanity. Pip helped Warlock retrace his steps, and soon Warlock returned to the pavilion of Atlas where he found missing pieces of his memory. He again accepted his now dire mission, and managed this time to retain his sanity. But before Warlock could depart, he was suddenly attacked by the Thanosi known as Warrior and Mystic. Warlock's cause seemed doomed until the intervention of Dr. Strange, who quickly dispatched Mystic before being knocked unconscious by Warrior. The battered Warlock was left with no choice but to use the full power of the Soul Gem to drain Warrior's soul, a move that would taint Warlock's mindset for a time, and make his mission that much more difficult. Despite this newfound difficulty, Warlock managed to return to Earth and deliver the knowledge Adelza would need in order to take over for her predecessor. He then went on to aid Thanos in the battle against Omega, the mightiest of the Thanosi. While Moondragon used her powers to keep Atlas alive a little longer, Warlock fought the Omega alongside Gamera, Pip, Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and Thanos himself, and the group eventually triumphed and ended the threat of the Thanosi. That done, Adelza assumed the mantle of the reality anchor, while Warlock and Gamera remained with her as protectors while she grew into the full measure of her abilities. Changed by his recent experiences, Warlock finally reciprocated the affection that Gamera had wished to show him for so long, and found that the keys to his happiness were not as complex and elusive as he once feared. Driven by an irresistible urge, Warlock traveled through space until he found Thanos locked in contemplation on the now-dead world called Rigel 3, and soon found that the Titan was feeling remorse over his part in what had happened to the planet, as well as many of his past misdeeds. Thanos went on to express a desire to start putting things right so that he could conquer his personal demons and find a measure of peace, and wished to start this journey with the Rigelians themselves. Warlock offered to accompany Thanos on his journey to New Rigel 3, and Thanos accepted, referring to Warlock as his conscience. Once there, Warlock was soon shocked into near disbelief when Thanos promptly surrendered to the Rigelian troops, and offered his services to their people. Warlock went on to become something of an advocate for Thanos, but nonetheless warned the Rigelian High Commissioner of the Titan's unpredictable nature. Warlock and Thanos soon found themselves in the midst of some political intrigue as the general in command of the Rigelian forces attempted a military coup. Warlock and Thanos soon disabused them of this notion, and Thanos went on to help the Rigelians by improving their security safeguards, their planetary defenses, and even the quality of their beta soy crops. The Grand Commissioner went on to tell the pair of a far greater peril that now endangered Rigel 18, and Thanos soon found out that the planet was threatened by none other than Galactus. Thanos stood by his pledge to aid the Rigelians, and decided to find out what the World Devourer's motives were. The group acquired the help of Moondragon and Pip in a plan to find out Galactus's plan. They used Moondragon to attack Galactus telepathically as a diversion while Pip teleported into his ship to plant bugs. While Thanos searched Galactus's files for his plans, Warlock talked to Pip about the radical changes in his existence. He told Pip that he sensed that his next death would be his final one, and he was not happy about it because of his relationship with Gamera. For the first time in his lives, Warlock was dreading and worried about his mortality. Thanos soon found that Galactus was gathering the all-powerful Infinity Gems in a plot to feed off their power and end his hunger, a move which made little sense considering that the assembled gems could be used to simply will his hunger away. This development made Thanos uneasy, and he feared that Galactus was actually being duped by some unknown agent. His findings were interrupted when his ship was invaded by Galactus's cyborg punishers, who made off with Warlock's soul gem and destroyed Thanos's starship in the process. Undaunted, Thanos went on to directly confront the World Devourer himself, but was unsuccessful in stopping Galactus from activating the focusing crux containing the gems. With the crux in operation, the being who orchestrated these events, an interdimensional parasite called hunger, gained egress into our reality, which it intended to consume. With the aid of Galactus and Pip, Thanos managed to defeat hunger, and recover Warlock's gem. Restored to health, Warlock bid the Titan farewell, and actually referred to him as a friend. That said, Warlock returned to Gamera and Adalzaw's side. Eventually seeking solitude, he became psychically aware of a huge number of deaths and began writing down the names of the deceased. Driven mad by this task, he entered into a regenerative cocoon. Before doing this, he later found the corpse of Thanos drifting into space as he was killed by Drax. Understanding the fact that he is part of the cosmic pattern that counterbalanced his evil self, he created a cocoon for him to heal. Old ally Moondragon and her lover Phyla-Vell, the new Quasar, came seeking the Kree savior, eventually finding his cocoon. Accidentally reviving him too early, an amnesiac and angry Adam Warlock emerged, younger in appearance, with slightly altered powers. He then, reluctantly, took his allies with him as they evaded capture from a Phalanx attack force and sought aid from the High Evolutionary who had, for unknown reasons, set up a base orbiting the nearest star. He then explained his absence during the Annihilation Wave. The souls of billions upon billions of dead creatures contacted Adam and drove him insane. He needed to spin the cocoon in order to adapt to the trauma and try to aid the souls. Unfortunately, Adam's awakening was too early, again, and he was followed by seizures if he used his powers too often. He also learned that he was the prophesied savior of the Kree. The outfit he was wearing by that time somewhat resembled that of the Magus. Adam confronted Ultron, who was forged with the mighty Phalanx, but with the help of Quasar, Star-Lord, Nova, and Warlock, he was able to unlock his full potential and defeat the massive Ultron. After these events, he and his fellow companions became the Guardians of the Galaxy. Adam supported the formation of the team as a necessity in the universe. Adam explained the universe had been damaged, and that was why he had been given his new abilities. The Annihilation Wave had weakened the very fabric of space-time and left it open to invasion. If another event of that magnitude occurred, it could tear the universe apart. They needed not only to prevent such a thing from occurring, but also to plug the fissures and help heal the universe. On the team's very first mission, Adam had them intercept one of the Universal Church of Truth's faith ships, as it was headed for a soon-to-open fissure and certain disaster. He and the team teleported aboard the vessel, but found the believers on board to be incredibly hostile. A fight ensued, though the irony of fighting a group that once worshipped him was not lost on Adam. Realizing that they were running out of time, Adam took his former allies Drax and Gamera with him to advance forward and stop the ship. Fighting his way through the ship with Drax and Gamera at his side, Adam reached the front of the ship just as his worst fear was realized and a sub-fissure was opened. Though disheartened by the Acolytes' abandonment of their fellows, Adam launched into action to contain the fissure. When a creature began to emerge, he used his newfound powers to begin forcing it back through. Not being able to do the job himself, he accepted help from Phyla-Vell in finishing the job. Together they used the expended energy to pilot the ship to a nearby planet, and drop it off. The team then returned to their base of operations at Nohir. Adam noticed the beginnings of another anomaly and led the team out to deal with it. After some distrust between the team on account of scrolls being found on Nohir, Star-Lord agreed for the team to remain in their quarters for questioning. This was unacceptable to Adam, who was assured when joining that the Guardians would answer to no one while they repaired the universe. Adam sneaked off and went to the neural core of Nohir, where remaining brain functions of the Celestial still remained. He was able to locate the Skrulls through this and soon found that Cosmo had been guarding them. Once the rest of the team arrived, they all soon learned that the Skrulls were trying to escape the Skrull Empire, as they were pacifist and wanted nothing to do with the Skrulls' invasion of Earth. But the cat was out of the bag. Drax overheard Star-Lord and Mantis, and told the rest of the team that Mantis had used her mental powers to convince them all to join the team. Most of the team walked out, Adam leaving with Gamera to find the Universal Church of Truth. After a run-in with one of the cardinals of the church, he reminded the matriarch that he was the true leader of the church, and in time he would prove his rightful spot. In the meantime, the universe was still in danger, and he returned to Nohir and continued to assist the Guardians.